Back once again for the renegade master. 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 Back once again for the renegade master.
Hello my renegades and welcome back, and we are getting back into Married at First Sight Australia series 11. We are now on episode 37 where we get to the reunion dinner. So it's been 4 weeks later, a whole month later, and we'll see who stayed together, what's changed and what drama is about to be afoot. But before we get into this episode, as I always ask, please hit that subscribe button, please hit that notification button so when you know I'm on and do videos. Please comment, please share, please like, because I am on the road to 1k. So let's get into this video, shall we? So it looks like Ellie and Jono have come to be devils together, basically, because Jono's returned for the reunion dinner and him and Ellie have come as a group. I find it a bit coincidental that 4 weeks have gone, yeah, from when this show was aired and Jono and Ellie are together. That kind of puts paid and tells me that these two were planning to be together from when they started texting each other, and I believe that they started texting each other, and this is my humble opinion, you lot can correct me if I am wrong, but I think this is what happened. I believe that they started to communicate with each other to begin to build a relationship when they were both in the experiment together, and when Ben was fucking about with Ellie's feelings and Jonathan was like really over the top with his reactions to it, right? I think they started to show each other that they liked each other from then, and then definitely they'd exchanged numbers before Ellie left her part in the experiment, and they started communicating from then. They didn't start communicating when him and Lauren decided to call it quits. They were communicating way before that. Like, he didn't build up this relationship with this girl and then say, let's be together. When him and Lauren called it quits, he was building that relationship already. And when him and Lauren definitely called it quits, or Lauren called it quits on him, is when he got in touch with Ellie and said, look, me and her is over, I want to be with you, because all I'm going to say throughout this whole episode, them two pissed me off royally. I thought Ellie is not a girl's girl, because if she would, she'd have some more motherfucking respect for Lauren in the way that she carried on. She was absolutely disgusting in her behaviour, and people are going to say edits, and yes, in this point where it come to the little segments, you could say, oh, the edits made it look like this, edit made it look like... No, their behaviours are their behaviours, and they should own the behaviours that they did to Lauren on that day, especially, and I will get to it properly, when you have Lauren looking very freaking flabbergasted and blindsided and upset and hurt, to have this woman then turn to her and say to Lauren, are you hurt? Are you fucking for real? If I smacked you in the mouth and made your lip bleed, would that hurt? Jesus. The insensitiveness of both of them was on fucking fire. Like, they were insensitive to the hilt. Anyway, you see Lucinda, basically she comes in on her own, you know, Tim comes in on her own. You see Ridge and Jade are still together, and Ridge has basically said that within 3 months he's going to be moving to the Gold Coast to be with Jade and V. He's already applying and looking at jobs over in the area that she lives in, because he's planning to make that you know, that life with her, which I'm happy to see. You see Sarah and Tim together, and you actually see Jack and Tori still together, but we knew they were going to be together. Jack calls themselves girlfriend and boyfriend, and I was like, what are you, 10? Because you literally did get married to each other at the beginning of the show, so she's your wife, she's not your girlfriend. She's not someone that you could just, like, you know, willingly dump at the end of the day. So they are at the moment in time navigating long distance. I'm just like, oh, I was kind of surprised at how close they are with each other. Like, now they're showing that little bit of affection with each other, and I was like, it's strange. They are a strange couple, but it's working for them. It's working for them. Then I heard a voice and a laugh that was like nails down a chalkboard, and Collins was back. Collins was back, and he was going to make the most of it because he was upset that he didn't even get through the very first dinner party because Natalie decided to leave. Natalie was also back. They were both talking about how they're going to greet each other because they've not seen each other since, like, you know, they left the experiment. Lucinda's basically saying that her and Tim have been chatting on the phone since they left, and to be fair, they were quite close as friends. It does come out, like, coming up to the confessions of the couch, the very last couch session, that Tim is kind of leaving the door open there as well and hoping that, you know, they could get back to an even keel and naturally gravitate back to each other. But the things that I was gonna say, but I've actually heard on the grapevine that Lucinda has managed to put Tim and Andrea together, and it's kind of looking like they may be in a relationship with each other now. But people can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the thing that I've kind of seen and heard along the grapevine. Lauren comes in, and all I'm gonna say is, like, Jono missed out on a good one with Lauren. I'm sorry. I prefer Lauren over Ellie. That's just the way I am, because at the end of the day, Ellie's taken someone else's sloppy seconds because Jono was Lauren's sloppy seconds. And then that's why I think it's all the audacity that Ellie has to treat Lauren in the way that she did, knowing full well Lauren did nothing to her. Lauren did nothing wrong by her. The person she's got to watch is motherfucking Jono, because my thing would be is, why? Basically, my thing would be is I would have had a conversation with Jono if that was the case, and says, look, I need to have a conversation with Lauren first so she isn't blindsided by the fact of us two walking in together. I'm not prepared to do that to her because she has done nothing wrong with me. Yes, we've managed to find a relationship and love with each other outside of this experiment, but I need to ensure that as a woman, Lauren is aware of what's what, so I ain't walking in there and blindsiding this girl and then be hee ka kiki with you and everybody else to hurt this woman even more. Ellie didn't see that. She didn't see that. I would have questioned Jonathan's motives in not giving Lauren the heads up. I would have questioned that royally, not falling into step with the dude the way that Ellie did. But you see Jaden and Eden walking together and they look good. You see Tristan walking, and then Cass walking, and he was really excited to meet her because they're still talking. Tristan actually does want to hopefully be at a place where he can make another go with Cassandra, but I think by that point Cassandra's already kind of moved on. But hey ho, we'll see what happens then. I think, who else comes in? Andrea comes in next. Richard comes in next. Jaden still thinks Sarah and Tim should not be together, and I'm just like, do you know what, Jaden, you need to leave them two alone because they're happy with each other. They're making it work at the end of the day. Messing with their relationship now, it ain't for you to say anything. Concentrate on your own. So in comes Collins. Oh, and in comes Ash. I actually forgot about him. Ash came in. You don't see I forgot the other girl's name, Madeline. Madeline's not there. I didn't see her come in at all. Michael comes in, and you see Stephen comes in, and Michael's kind of flirting with Stephen because he does still fancy him at the end of the day. In walks Tori and Jack, and everybody is kind of surprised that they're still together. But they're as strange as fuck, you know what I mean? There's different strokes for different folks with them too. Tori isn't interested in talking to anybody because she does not see these people as her friends or her equals. She only sees that with Jack, and she's only there because of, you know, what she's contracted and obligated to do as part of being on the show. So that's why she's there at the end of the day. Ellie and Jonathan were getting on my nerves on the way to the dinner because they just kept on laughing, and it was annoying as hell because I'm like, what is it that used to are finding so rotted funny? And then Ellie has the audacity to say, I got my man. And I'm like, you mean someone else's sloppy seconds? You went for someone else's husband? That doesn't put you in a good light in the slightest. So everybody's sitting on the couch just having a chat and da-da-da-da. And I think someone did bring up, I don't know if it was Lauren who just brought it up and says, well, what if they walk in together? What if they are in a relationship together? Because she hadn't spoken to Jono since the thing finished, basically, since the final vow. She completely cut herself off from this man. And in they walked, and everybody just looked at them and was like, what? Even Lauren didn't get up. They greeted everybody else, didn't even greet Lauren, and neither did Ellie. Lauren turned around and said hello to Ellie, shouted Ellie's name and said hello. Ellie ignored her and said, oh, I want a drink. That was rude. That was very rude. Rude indeed. Because you know you heard her. And even though she tries to play it on the couch in the next episode, that she didn't hear Lauren, and that's what was her excuse that she was going with. She raw heard her, because a woman can tell when you've been hurt, when you've said something and that person's heard you and then completely bypassed you to ignore you to say something else so they don't have to talk to you. That was fucking rude. And there was, as again, no need for them to exit and show out the way that they did in front of Lauren. There's no need for it. But Jono was on the warpath. He was ready. He was ready to hurt Lauren, like really hurt Lauren. And he was using Ellie as a conduit to do it with. That's how I saw it. So then they went and sat down, like directly opposite in Lauren's vision, eye vision. And I'm like, why are you doing this to this girl? And this is what I mean. The only person that I saw really stick up for Sarah, and it was Jono, who then decided to deflect and try to fuck up and throw a spanner in the works between Sarah and Tim's relationship, is because Sarah was defending Lauren and calling out the fuck shit behaviour that Jono and Ellie were displaying towards Lauren, calling it out royally. And the only way Jono could stop that was to deflect and throw shit at her own marriage. Now, I will get to it, but all I'm going to say is I don't know why Tim went and confided in this little bastard. Whoops. In this little dickhead anyway. I don't understand why he went and confided in him anyway. Because he was going to use that as ammunition to get Sarah to concentrate on something else and divert the attention away from him. So because I'm telling you, all I'm gonna say is if it had been me, because I would have been friends with Lauren. No, make no bones about it, I would have been friends with Lauren. If it had been me, my attention would not have been diverted, because I would have turned around and I said, okay, I'll hold that. Me and him will have a conversation away from this table, but right now I'm calling you out on the carpet. I don't give a freak what he supposedly said to you. We will have that conversation away from here, but you are not going to divert my attention away from the fuck shit that used to are pulling right now on this table. So let's talk about it. And then I'll be waiting to see if Jono could pull out something else, because he wouldn't have been able to. He wouldn't have been able to. But Sarah is not, she doesn't have that kind of, like, what can I say? She doesn't have that kind of I can't even remember the word. She doesn't have that kind of thinking. She's quick to fire, and that's what Jono was relying on her being quick to fire. Like, if she'd have sat there and thought about it, she'd have thought, this man's trying to deflect, but he ain't gonna do that. He is not going to do that, and he's not going to get between me and my husband at the end of the day. Yes, what Tim said, and we'll get to it, was a horrible thing to say, to be fair, and it put Sarah on the back burner, in the sense that I've picked you, but then you've turned around to someone else and said straight after the commitment, straight after the fucking final vows, that if you'd had longer to think about it, you would have chose a different outcome. That was fucked up on Tim's part. Absolutely fucked up on Tim's part. All I'm going to say is, throughout this whole dinner, Jono and Ellie was smug as hell. Like, smug as hell. Lauren refused to look at them. Lauren wasn't even going to say anything, but then they drawed her out. They drawed her out, and it was the point where Lauren was talking about how hurt she was, or someone was talking about how hurt she was. I think it was Lucinda who brought it up. And then Jono had the audacity to turn around and say, oh, she doesn't feel hurt. She doesn't give a shit about me and what I'm doing. And I'm like, is this the task where they say hurt people? Because Jono sounded very hurt by being shoved off by Lauren and not being believed. That's what it was coming off as. So then, as I said, Ellie had the audacity to call Lauren's name. Lauren looked at her and I thought, Ross, if looks could kill my girl, you would be dead. Because Lauren looked at her as if to say, who the fuck do you think you're calling? Don't talk to me. Do not talk to me. And then had the audacity to ask Lauren if she was hurt. I'm like, you're taking the piss? You're taking the piss? So Lauren just literally didn't say anything at first and just stared at the girl until she looked away. So I was like, yeah, you're taking the piss. You're taking the fucking piss. So when Lauren turned around to try and say something and Jono said what he said in regards to Lauren not giving a fuck and she's not really her, Lauren told him point blank, do not tell me how I am feeling. You do not know what's going on inside of me at the end of the day, and I am paraphrasing that. So then Jack piped up and asked them, when did it get romantic? So Jono was basically saying that they spoke a week after the final vows and then they met up. Everybody was like, bollocks. It was like, bollocks. That is not the true story, because Jono was trying to convince everybody that he did not know Ellie before the text. And again, even Ellie didn't look convinced by that story, but she was going to have Jono's back. She was going to say, parrot the same thing that he said. Bullshit. Both of them are full of bullshit. Lauren then gets, you can see then Lauren, as the camera pans back, gets really upset and starts to cry, but she's trying to keep those, you can tell she's trying to keep those tears in. And I was like, my girl, don't cry in front of this man. Do not let him know how much you are hurt or he has hurt you, because he is an absolute giant prick of a man. And then he had the audacity to say that Lauren was putting it on. He could see that girl was fucking heartbroken at the table, and then said she was putting it on to try and get people on side. And then tried to say to Lucinda that Lucinda's buying him the act. And I thought, is this man for real? So then Tim speaks up and speaks up for Lauren. And Tim says, you met your match, that's awesome. But at the end of the day, you two have to appreciate that you both blindsided Lauren. And so she is hurt. So quit being a bish, Jonathan. Like, seriously, quit being a motherfucking bish up in this dinner party right here, sir. Because you know for a fact you were in the wrong. Ellie knows she was in the wrong. And then you want to come up here and try and convince people that you two did nothing wrong. And it was all innocent. As Sarah said, there was intent there from the time they found out they liked each other, because it did come out across the table when Ellie tried to turn around and get Ben on side and say, well, you know, when we were talking, and Ben went, yeah, you told me that you believed that Jono had a bit of a crush on you. Everybody looked at them both. They didn't know where to put, Ellie did not know where to put her face. Ellie did not know, yes, so you both knew beforehand that you each had a crush on each other. That's where it started from. That's where it started from. So the text messages was just to build up upon the communication that they were already having within the experiment itself. So whatever they said next about when they met, when they texted, and how they got together is bullshit. Absolute bullshit. So as I said, as it comes to the end of the dinner party, we know that Jonathan threw a grenade in between Tim and Sarah's marriage. In regards to Tim saying what he said to Jonathan. That was Jonathan's plan at the end of the day. You see Jonathan and Ellie sitting there laughing, believing that this shit was hilarious. Believing the fuck shit that he just did to their marriage as fucking hilarious. You see Sarah get up from the table and Lauren comforts her because she was crying, which is understandable why Sarah was upset by what was happening. And Tim didn't make it any better. He was just digging himself a bigger hole. And I thought, you know what? At this point, Tim, just shut up. Shut up your mouth and then have that conversation with Sarah afterwards when you are on your own. Don't do this in front of Jonathan, because Jonathan's a fucking prick. And the only reason why he brought it up was to deflect from the situation that he was in with Ellie, to take the heat off of them two. That's the only reason why Jonathan brought that shit up. So as time goes on and Tim is basically saying that he's actually happy with his decision, Tim then goes at Jonathan as if to say, well, why the fuck did you say that for? Why did you bring that up for? And Jonathan's there saying, well, we all think at this table that you could have done better, that you could do better, and da-da-da-da. No one's thinking that anymore, Jonathan. No one was thinking that anymore at that point at the end of the day. So Ellie then turns around and has the audacity to say to Jonathan that Tim was so controlled by Sarah. I thought, no, he isn't. No, he is not. He said something in confidence to Jonathan, and Jonathan used it as ammunition to deflect away from the issue at hand. That's what he did. At this point, this is where this dinner party ended. This is where the episode ended. As I always say, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that notification button so you know I'm on and doing videos. Please comment, please like, please share. Because I am on the road to 1K, and I'll be back very soon with the penultimate episode of Married at First Sight Australia, and that will be it. The whole season ended, and also as well, at the end of that episode that I do, I will be talking about the new programs that I'm going to react, that I'm going to break down, that I'm going to review. I shall be back soon. Peace out.